I can't believe I'm making this video.
We're kicking it off with Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson.
The only two people I will wait all night for.
How do you approach women? Because a lot of guys could use some advice.
I am just,
So I found myself asking, is this an emotionally stable man? I just didn't think that I would find anything about big energy in science. Pete Davidson is well known for winning the hearts of some of the most beautiful, famous people in Hollywood. He's dated Ariana Grande, Kim Kardashian, Emily Ratajkowski. He's dated Kate Beckinsale. His track record is on point, and it's left many asking, how does he do it? I'm here to answer that question. Hi, I'm Lucy Moon and I make videos around culture, lifestyle and fashion. You can subscribe, you can hit the bell notification if you're not new around here, and like the video if you enjoy it. Before we begin, a quick word from our sponsor. As you can imagine, I love an investigative drama, and if you do too, The Independent released on Sky Cinema this month. I need to tell you about it. In case you don't know, I am part of Sky Cinema Club, where I review a film that is new to the platform every month. This month I watched The Independent, a political drama centering around Eli, an investigative journalist who is uncovering a political conspiracy. I love a political drama, so when I saw this was coming to Sky Cinema, I was buzzing. I really enjoyed it. It was just what I needed. I love a little thriller, and I was pleasantly surprised by John Cena's performance. I think I've written him off as a bit of a kind of meathead action actor. I know that's really, sorry, judge me all you want, but he was really good and I was just pleasantly surprised. So it was directed by Amy Rice, who has worked with Aaron Sorkin, so big tick in my book, and also worked on a Barack Obama documentary as well. So I feel like she had a really good insight and perspective that she brought to the table on politics in that particular kind of like Barack Obama era. And I feel like that's reflected throughout the film as well. But if The Independent doesn't sound like your thing, there is also Rock Dog, which also hit Sky Cinema this month. It's a film about restoring the name of a rock legend so he doesn't get forgotten by the younger generation, and it sounds so endearing. And if that doesn't sound like your thing, there is also a Valentine's pop-up, which is featuring a bunch of great romantic comedies, including some of my faves, 50 First Dates, 13 Going on 30, and wait for it, Mamma Mia. I love a bit of Mamma Mia. I've been to a sing-along for Mamma Mia before. Don't judge me. Anyway, thank you Sky for working with me on this video. You can find out more about Sky Cinema in the link below, and you can find a link to watch the trailer of The Independent. So let's start with the bare bones of it. What makes Pete Davidson so attractive to women? I've had a look into the science and I have some answers. So forgive me if you already know this, but the thing about Pete is that to some, he's not conventionally attractive. But I say, maybe he is. When comparing what the genders find attractive in heterosexual relationships, the science suggests that women rate age, intelligence, education, income, trust, and emotional connection as notably more important in a partner than men do about women. So it doesn't shock me that a lot of men look at Pete and go, what do you see in him? And the men's outlook might also be influenced by the fact that they tend to rate attractiveness and physical build as more important traits in a partner. This might sound a bit archaic, but the study I found this in was conducted in 2021. So let's look at these traits in relation to Pete. We can assume he has a high income, as he is a regular on SNL and he has his own stand-up comedy specials. Along with acting roles, his education and his intelligence come across very positively in his comedy. Then we reflect on trust and emotional connection. Pete talks honestly about the challenges he's faced in life, such as his chronic illness, he has Crohn's, and bereavement. He lost his father when he was young. And he also is able to find the humor in them and makes light of these in his comedy. I think this makes him come across as good-natured and warm, and arguably not a sociopath, which hits those emotional connection and trust buttons. And in a world where people don't know where Hollywood ends and real life begins, that must be so nice. Another characteristic about Pete that I think might be appealing to women is his bad boy status, and I am cringing as I say it. Let's be real, for the average millennial white woman, Pete has this tame bad boy thing going on. He's tattooed, he smokes weed. It's a trope, but believe me when I tell you, there are thousands on thousands of words written trying to unpack the bad boy appeal on a host of different news outlets that I read. It's a phenomenon. So why do straight women go for bad boys? It's worth saying that one of his exes has actually talked about this before. Ariana said in 2014, which was before she dated Pete, I don't really have a type, but I love a guy that can make me laugh. I love funny guys. I love a bad boy. I tried the good boy thing for a minute and I thought, oh my gosh, no, that won't work. And a survey by Love Honey in 2021 showed that 49% of women love a bad boy. Again, I tried to find some writing on this, and basically what I think it boils down to is that women often feel trapped in the good girl complex. There is this expectation of perfectionism, of being well behaved, of being docile, and a lot of women do end up taking on these traits because they're brought up to be well behaved, agreeable, and nice. So some psychologists believe that it's this desire for rebellion that attracts women to a bad boy. A good girl may admire the bad boy's sense of freedom. Despite the fact that this probably makes him a bad partner in the long term, the short-term rewards can make this a really attractive option. Another part of the appeal might be the confidence. The bad boy persona tends to be aligned with this idea of confidence or arrogance, which statistically is also something that women tend to find attractive. And finally, security seems to play a role. Psychologists believe that some women feel more protected when they're dating a bad man. So I think Pete brings the best of both worlds, because he does fit some of the bad boy stereotypes, specifically the ones that might make him more attractive to women. But his other qualities like self-depreciation and vulnerability make him feel really safe. The best quote I found while researching this video is from a woman who is the Jezebel senior editor, Katie McDonough. He looks like you could do drugs together, but also maybe that you could stop doing drugs together. And if that doesn't encompass the appeal, I don't know what does. Now then, the bit you've all been waiting for. It is rumored that Pete has a large So let's look at the science of big dick energy. The term, I can't believe I'm making a video about this. The term big dick energy was coined by Kyrell Grant, who wrote about it in relation to Anthony Bourdain. I say it like it was a piece. I think it was just a tweet. Again, another quality quote for this video. Weird looking skinny dudes just historically have huge dicks. I simply cannot explain the science behind it. The cut defines BDE as a quiet confidence and ease with oneself that comes from knowing you have an enormous penis and you know what to do with it. It's not cockiness, it's not a power trip, it's the opposite. A healthy, satisfied, low-key way you feel yourself. There is actually some science to suggest that big dick energy is real. I just didn't think that I would find anything about big dick energy in science. However, there has been quite a thorough study. In 2006, a study was published in the Psychology of Men and Masculinity, which surveyed 52,000 men and found that men who reported having a larger than average size tended to rate their appearance more favorably, suggesting a possible confidence effect of having a perceived larger size. So if you believe you have a larger, you're likely to be more confident and maybe, just maybe, exude what we call big energy. This basically proves that BDE is real. I can't wait to get demonetized for this video. There's also some research to suggest that size correlates with height and body shape to make men be perceived as more attractive. In particular, size had a stronger effect on attractiveness of taller men who had a more masculine body shape, which means just a wider shoulder to hip ratio. And guess who has this body type? Our good friend Pete Davidson. So not only with his confidence, but also the public perception of his being large, perhaps, just perhaps, he does exude big energy and it makes him more attractive to women. All of this added together means he could scientifically be being perceived to be more attractive to women. I have added 2 question marks beside this part of the script. What does that mean? I couldn't tell you, but there's clearly something in the big energy thing. There's a few more factors at play, and one of them is that Hollywood sucks. Imagine having to date in show business. Show business. Pete, a man from New York, a comedian, brings all of these fresh characteristics we've just discussed to the table. He must be like a breath of fresh air. Emily Ratajkowski's actually talked about how difficult it is dating in Hollywood. There's been times where literally the first time that I've met someone, we spent 2 hours together and then there's pictures on the internet. My close friends will be like, dude, that guy's stoked. He just got photographed on a date with you. And then that makes me feel gross. I know everyone's struggles are relative, but that sounds deeply unpleasant. And Ariana, another one of Pete's exes, took to Instagram stories in 2020 to share some of the difficulties of dating in the public eye. She said, sharing special personal life things that make you happy on the internet can be truly traumatic. I know I've taken a step back from doing so to protect my loved ones. There's something refreshing about being with someone who doesn't care about their image in the same way as the majority of people in your life do. Someone who smokes weed, who doesn't take themselves too seriously. Someone who's not fazed about the limelight. Or is he? Pete gets papped by everyone, multiple times, with every girlfriend. After a while, these photos and videos started seeming a little weird to me. You might not know this, but a lot of celebrities work with the paparazzi. This didn't used to be as much of a thing. The paparazzi would try and steal shots. They're trying to catch you without you knowing, but more and more people have realized the power of those photographs, and they want to utilize them. So why would a celebrity want to work with the paparazzi? The main reason is control over their image. When your image is a really important part of your career, you want control over how it's distributed. If you work with the paparazzi, they will get what they want, and so will you. It's a win-win. Sometimes it's a subtle way to do a paid product endorsement. For example, you've got a long-term contract with someone. Some part of your contract could be, potentially, that you're carrying a drink of theirs across the street. It feels less in your face than a TV ad, or maybe a sponsored Instagram post, but it might still end up on Daily Mail. Being papped keeps you relevant. Staying in the public consciousness is important as a celebrity, especially when you have something to promote. However, not everyone likes using Instagram, likes using TikTok, as you've probably seen from the reams of musicians complaining about the labels asking them to make TikTok videos. So having a few carefully staged paparazzi photos can mitigate the risk of your new project bombing. Finally, it can distract from a flop or a controversy. Sometimes a celeb will do something radical and seemingly weird in a caught off guard moment that happens to be photographed, and you might think, why would they do that? It has been known to be used as a technique to distract the public from something else arguably more controversial that might be leaked in the press. Maybe a divorce, maybe a misconduct allegation, something like that. So how do celebrities work with the paparazzi? Ariana Grande, for example, has been working with the paparazzi for years. A photographer called Caesar went on a podcast and talked about how he's worked with Ariana since before she released music. And in all the articles I read, Kim Kardashian's name comes up the most from anyone with any expertise in the area. She is used as the key example of a celebrity with the most control over her image in paparazzi photos. I've got some quotes. Kim allegedly has a personal paparazzi who flies around the world to take photos of her. She reviews every image before they're sent to magazines, and they're also heavily edited. And everyone quoted said that she uses specific photographers who will manipulate the images as she wants them to look. You may remember Pete Davidson has dated Kim Kardashian and Ariana Grande, so he could have been learning from the best. There's a few other things that make me think Pete might be using the paparazzi to his benefit, and that some of these relationships might not entirely be real. The first thing is that Pete doesn't use social media, so in order to stay relevant and promote projects, he has to find other means. Maybe the paparazzi is his preferred way to stay relevant. Pete also makes sure to walk the red carpets with his girlfriends, which some say is a sure sign that a relationship is for PR. So how else can you tell if a photo is staged? What are they doing? Because honestly, no one is just walking around on the street outside their house in Beverly Hills. Do they look too good? Has their hair been styled? Do their clothes fit just right? Who took the photo? Some people who are more well versed in the area can see the photo credit and know if it was paid for or not. Are the celeb couple always making out? That's a bit weird. And is the location too remote? How did you find them in the arse end of nowhere? I'm Professor Moon, and today we're doing a rundown of Pete's relationships and analysing whether we think they were for the paps. We begin with Ariana Grande. I believe this one to be fully sincere. They first met when Ariana was on SNL, and a few years later, the relationship blossomed. Pete proposed after just 4 months. However, unfortunately at 8 months, the relationship ended because of complicating factors, namely the passing of Ariana's ex-boyfriend, Mac Miller. R.I.P. Mac. It allegedly put a strain on the relationship, and so after 8 months, Pete and Ari called off the engagement. Pete got tattoos about Ariana Grande, one of which has since been covered. There's plenty of sincere content from this point. However, there is also some questionable stuff, including this delightful photo which featured in every article I read about BDE. After Ariana, there was Kate Beckinsale, a woman around 20 years his senior. On the pros, she does date younger men. However, they were getting papped just as her new Amazon show was premiering. Then we move on to Margaret Qualley, a brief fling where they were photographed around Venice, conveniently on the week of the film festival, when her new film was coming out. And then we move on to Kaya Gerber, 4 months of bliss, ending when Pete went to rehab. Kaya had just turned 18, and she is the daughter of Cindy Crawford, making her an A-star Nepo baby. She'd just started modeling, so potentially fresh out the womb, she thought, let's dip our toes into a PR relationship and test the waters. They were packed grocery shopping together, which seems suspicious because when has a Nepo baby ever needed to grocery shop? However, shortly after the relationship ended and Pete left rehab, he did an interview where he spoke about how much he loved KG, so maybe it was real. Then we move on to Phoebe Dynevor, Bridgerton star, and there are very few photos of their relationship other than at Wimbledon. The lack of photos makes me inclined to believe it was real. And they allegedly dated for just 6 months and broke up because of the distance. Penultimately, we have Kim Kardashian. They kissed on SNL, and then they kissed IRL. The pair were reportedly dating very soon after that show came out. I think it's sus. Kim, as we now know, is notorious for staging her image through PR. She curates it, she controls it. Would it shock me if she staged a 9-month relationship to distract from her terrible divorce with Kanye West? Not at all. It worked well on Kardashians. I watched season 1/2. They did a lot of red carpets together, a known sign of a PR relationship. And there was also this slightly sus video. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I believe this to be PR. We then move on to a brief fling with Emily Ratajkowski. There were only 2 pieces of content I saw from this alleged relationship. One was at a basketball, maybe, game, and one was a video on a phone through a window. And I don't know about you, but that seems weird. Apparently they just went on a few dates. You make your minds up about that one. Em, straight out of a divorce, had just started a podcast. I don't know what Pete was promoting, maybe something. She is also regarded by most men as one of the most beautiful women in the world. It's a good move on Pete's part to be seen with someone of such high male caliber. And then finally, we have Chase Sui Wonders, or Sui Wonders? I'm not entirely sure. They've been linked since December 2022 after co-starring in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. They've been spotted in a few places together. Universal Studios, Hawaii. And overall, they seem in love. I believe this seems somewhat legit. But a classic PR relationship move is 2 co-stars getting together. So I'm not sold. And thus concludes my research. The further I got into researching this video, the more I questioned the ethics of releasing it. I don't know if Pete is okay. If these relationships are PR stunts, then he is very dedicated. He's got tattoos related to at least 2 of his exes. He got like an iron branding to do with Kim K. He seems to fall really hard, or just he's really committed to the bit. So I found myself asking, is this an emotionally stable man? And the answer is no. Pete talks openly about his struggles with BPD, which is borderline personality disorder. According to the NHS, borderline personality disorder is a disorder of mood and affects people's emotions and how they interact with others. The symptoms are emotional instability, disturbed patterns of thinking or perception, impulsive behavior, and intense but unstable relationships with others. The erratic relationship behavior that we see Pete exhibit could just be the way he interacts with other people. And maybe that's just how he builds relationships. Maybe it's not PR and he does just fall in and out of love hard and fast. I had a look in the BPD subreddit and loads of people detail this kind of behavior and the anguish it causes themselves and others. It doesn't sound fun. And Pete insists he's only ever really dated the people he's been seen with.
I like love. I love love. That's how I grew up.
All in all, I'm unsure. What is the Pete Davidson effect? I think this question will remain unanswered. Is this all a performance to further his career? Or is there genuine passion here? I reckon it's a bit of both. If there's one thing about this man, he loves love. Women do fancy Pete Davidson, in large numbers. But there may be other factors at play. This could be a great PR move. He now has a reputation for dating these women, insanely beautiful women. And so some of them might have been setups. But I do believe that some of these relationships were real, and they were impacted by a lot of factors, including Pete's mental health. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, please subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments. Are these beautiful, famous women really dating Pete? Do they love him? Is it a contractual obligation? And let me know what other topics you'd like me to talk about in my video essays. They are not always going to be serious. There'll be some fun things peppered in, so let me know. And thank you to Sky Cinema for working with me on this video. You can find out more about The Independent in the links below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in my next one.